August 18, 1590. Governor John White steps onto the shore of Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. 3 years earlier, he left behind a colony of 115 men, women, and children, among them his own daughter and his newborn granddaughter. Now, the settlement stands empty. No bodies, no graves, no sign of struggle, just one word, carved deep into a wooden post: Croatoan. 115 people had simply vanished. In the 4 centuries since, no one has ever proven what happened to them. It remains the oldest cold case in American history, and the deeper you dig into the evidence, the stranger the story becomes. The story begins in 1587. England, under Queen Elizabeth I, was desperate to plant a permanent foothold in the New World. Sir Walter Raleigh organized a venture, and John White was appointed governor of a new colony on Roanoke Island. It was a dangerous gamble. An earlier military outpost on the same island had already failed, its soldiers fleeing home after clashing with local tribes. But this time was different. These were not soldiers. They were families, farmers, craftsmen, wives, children. And on August 18, 1587, White's daughter Eleanor Dare gave birth to a girl named Virginia, the first English child ever born in the Americas. 9 days later, her grandfather sailed for England to gather desperately needed supplies. He would never see any of them again. White's timing could not have been worse. When he reached England, the country was bracing for invasion. The Spanish Armada was coming. Every seaworthy ship was seized for the war effort. For 3 long years, John White begged, borrowed, and schemed to get back across the Atlantic, while his family waited on a distant shore, 3,000 miles away. When he finally returned in 1590, he arrived on his granddaughter's 3rd birthday. What he found chilled him. The houses had not been burned or destroyed. They had been carefully taken down, dismantled piece by piece, as if the colonists had packed up and moved. And on a post of the palisade, that single carved word, Croatoan. On a nearby tree, just 3 letters, C-R-O. Here is the detail most retellings miss. Before White left in 1587, the colonists agreed on a signal. If they were ever forced to leave in danger, they would carve a cross above their destination. White searched. There was no cross. To him, the message was clear. The colonists had left calmly for the island of Croatoan, 50 miles south, home of a friendly tribe. But White never got the chance to look. A brutal storm shredded his ship's anchor lines and drove the fleet out to sea. The captains refused to turn back. John White returned to England defeated and died years later, never knowing what became of his daughter, his granddaughter, or the 113 souls he had governed. The colony was simply gone. So what actually happened? The first and oldest theory is also the most hopeful one. The colonists did exactly what the carving said. They moved and joined the Croatoan people. Decades later, English explorers reported meeting natives with gray eyes who said their ancestors were white. In the 1700s, settlers described members of the Hatteras tribe who claimed English blood. And archaeology backs this up more than you might expect. On Hatteras Island, the historical Croatoan, excavations have uncovered a 16th century English signet ring, gun parts, and a slate writing tablet mingled with native artifacts. Even more intriguing, at a site 50 miles inland, known only as Site X, archaeologists found English pottery of exactly the right period. That has led to the leading modern theory. The colony did not vanish, it split. One group moved south to Croatoan, another pushed inland toward the Chowan River. And over the years, both were gradually absorbed into the native nations around them. Their descendants may be walking the streets of North Carolina today. But there are darker possibilities. 20 years later, the founders of Jamestown heard a grim story. Chief Powhatan claimed his warriors had slaughtered a group of white settlers living among a tribe he had marked for destruction, just before the English returned. If true, the lost colonists survived for nearly 2 decades, only to be wiped out on the eve of rescue. Yet no mass grave and no bodies have ever been found. Other theories have risen and fallen. A Spanish attack, except Spanish records show their patrols were still hunting for the colony years later, unaware it had vanished. A desperate attempt to sail home on the colony's small ship, lost at sea, except the ship was far too small for everyone. And the infamous Dare Stones, a series of carved rocks telling Eleanor Dare's tragic story, which turned out to be almost entirely a hoax. Today, DNA projects are testing families who claim descent from the lost colonists, and every few years, the excavations at Hatteras and Site X pull new fragments of Elizabethan England out of Carolina soil. The evidence increasingly points to survival and assimilation. But absolute proof, a document, a named grave, a confirmed bloodline, still does not exist. And so the question remains open, 400 years later. 115 people walked into the American wilderness and left behind a single word. Were they absorbed, destroyed, or scattered? History has never answered. Croatoan was not a cry for help. It may simply have been a forwarding address that no one ever followed. If you enjoyed this journey into the unsolved past, subscribe for a new mystery every week. Next time, a ship found drifting in perfect condition, her cargo untouched, her crew simply gone. The Mary Celeste. The past keeps its secrets. We dig them up.